Hi students, today I am going to discuss regarding the different types of cranial nerves and we will see what are the different functions of these cranial nerves. Okay, if you see the cranial nerves are the nerves that emerge directly from the brain. See, the name itself indicates cranial, means that is the brain. So these nerves that are going to be emerging from the brain, including the brain stem. And if you see, there are the 12 pairs of cranial nerves that is going to be emerging from the brain. And if you see the names here, the each nerve also has a corresponding Roman numericals between 1 and 12. Okay, how they have given these numerical numbers, that is because this is based on their location from front to the back. If you see regarding the general functions of these cranial nerves, if you see among the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves, some nerves act as a sensory nerves and some will act as a motor nerves, and some nerves will be acting as both cranial as well as a sensory functions. Okay, if you see like sensory cranial nerves help a person to see, smell as well as hear, and next one is if you see the motor cranial nerves that helps to control the muscle movements in the head as well as the neck. Okay, let's see what are the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. It's very important, students, to remember for your exam point of view regarding all these 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. So for that purpose, towards the right side of the slide, I have prepared one mnemonic for you to remember easily regarding all these 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. Okay, we'll see how you are going to be remember these 12 types of cranial nerves. Clear? See here, if you see here, online live preparation classes for trouble, tricky and absent students, and they are always facing veg varieties accidentally in Hyderabad during lockdown. Okay, this is one mnemonic. Okay, how you are going to be remember, we'll see. Okay, if you see online, on that online, I have underlined here in the brackets, I have given live preparation classes. That means the underline letter O and live L. Okay, that means O and L. Okay, that means olfactory nerve. And next one is underline O, and the next word, that is preparation. Okay, OP. Okay, that means the optic nerve. And the third one is underline online in that O, and the third word is class. Okay, that means OC, that means oculomotor nerve. Okay, only that I have represented in green color, that you have to remember it. Clear? See, first three nerves is clear, that is online live preparation classes. Okay, in that you can write the three cranial nerves, that is olfactory, optic and oculomotor nerves. Okay, next for trouble, tricky and absent. Okay, that means if you see trouble, TRO, I have underlined trouble, TRO, that is trochlear nerve. And next one is tricky, TRI, okay, that is trigeminal nerve. And absent, okay, AB, that is abducens nerve. Clear? I think 6 nerves are clear, that is online live preparation classes for trouble, tricky and absent students, and they're always facing, okay, facing FAC, that is facial nerves. And next one is in that veg, VE. Okay, VE, that is vestibulocochlear nerve. And G, that is glossopharyngeal. And varieties, okay, in that varieties VA, you will call it as a vagus nerve. And accidentally, that is ACC, you will call it as accessory nerve. And in Hyderabad, that is H5, you will call it as hypoglossal nerve. Clear? See, I think I hope you understood regarding how we are going to remember all these 12 pairs of the cranial nerves with the help of this simple mnemonic. But don't write this mnemonic in case of examination. Simply you write only the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. Okay, we'll discuss one by one regarding these 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. Okay, the first cranial nerve, okay, that you will call it as olfactory nerve. Okay, this olfactory nerve, this is a sensory nerve. Clear? I told you regarding the function, some will act like a sensory and some will act like a motor nerve. Clear? This is a sensory nerve. So the olfactory nerve transmits sensory information to the brain. Clear? That means whenever if you inhale any aromatic molecules, clear, then what what happens, they are going to be dissolved in a moist lining at the roof of your nasal cavity, that is you will call it as olfactory epithelium. Clear? See that aromatic molecules are going to be dissolved in the olfactory epithelium. Because of that, what happens, which is going to be stimulates the receptors that generate nerve impulses that move to the olfactory bulb. Okay, if you see this olfactory bulb, which is a oval shaped structure that contains specialized group of the nerve cells. Okay, from the olfactory bulb, what happens, the nerve passes into the olfactory tract. Okay, mainly if you see this olfactory tract, that will be located below the frontal lobe of your brain. Okay, nerve signals are then sent to the areas of the brain concerned with memory and recognition of the smells. Okay, this is regarding the olfactory nerve. Next cranial nerve, the second cranial nerve is the optic nerve. Okay, this is also a sensory nerve. This optic nerve is the sensory nerve that involves in case of the vision. What happens when the light enters the eye? It comes into contact with special receptors in the retina called as rods and cones. Okay, if you see, these rods are found in large numbers when compared to the cones and are highly sensitive to the light and are more specialized for black and white or the night visions. See, that means mainly for non-colored visions, mainly these rods will be useful. And next one is, if you see, the cones are present in very small numbers, but they have a lower light sensitivity than rods and are more involved with the color visions. Okay, once the information received by the rods and cones is transmitted from the retina to the optic nerve. Clear? See, once what happens, once the information has reached the optic nerve, then what happens inside the skull, both the optic nerves from each eye, it's going to be meeting and it is forming an optic chiasma. Clear? See that what is this? At the optic chiasma, the nerve fibers from each of the retina from two separate optic tracts. Clear? Through each optic tract, what happens, the nerve impulses eventually reaches to the visual cortex, okay, which processes the information finally. Okay, if you see this visual cortex, that is located in the back of the brain. The third cranial nerve is the oculomotor nerve. Okay, this oculomotor nerve, which is a motor nerve. Okay, and if you see, which has two different motor functions. The first one is the muscle function and the second one is the pupil response. Okay, if you see, regarding this muscle function, once the oculomotor nerve provides a motor function to 4 of the 6 muscles around your eyes. That means if you see the eyes, which will be surrounded by 6 types of the, that is 6 types of the muscles, around that 4 muscles will be provided by this oculomotor nerve. Okay, these muscles help the eyes move and focus on objects. Okay, because of these nerve only, the muscles around the eyes, that will be useful for the movement as well as and focus on the objects. And next one is the pupil response. Okay, it also helps to control the size of the pupil as it responds to the light. Clear? See, whenever the pupil is okay, responding to the light, then what happens, automatically the size of the pupil is also controlled with the help of this oculomotor nerve. Okay, if you see this nerve, this is going to be originates in front part of the midbrain. Okay, that means which is a part of the brainstem. It moves forward from that area until it reaches the area of the eye sockets. The fourth cranial nerve is the trochlear nerve. Okay, if you see, this is also a motor nerve, and this trochlear nerve mainly controls the superior oblique muscles. Okay, this is the muscle that responsible for downward, outwards and inward eye movements. Okay, mainly these movements are going to be controlled with the help of this trochlear nerve. Okay, it is going to be emerges from the back part of the midbrain. Like the oculomotor nerve, it moves forward until it reaches the eye socket, where it is going to be stimulate the superior oblique muscles. The fifth cranial nerve is the trigeminal nerve, and if you see among the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves, this trigeminal nerve is the largest of the cranial nerves, and it has both the sensory and the motor functions. Okay, and if you see, this trigeminal nerve has three main divisions, that is ophthalmic, maxillary and mandibular divisions. Okay, first of all, if you see ophthalmic division, the ophthalmic division sends the sensory information, okay, to the brain from the upper parts of the face. Okay, that includes the forehead, scalp and the upper eyelids. Okay, from these parts which will be sending the sensory information to the brain. Okay, that you will call it as ophthalmic division. And next one is the maxillary division. This communicates sensory information from middle part of the face, including the cheeks, upper lips and the nasal cavity. Okay, from these parts which will be communicates the sensory information and which will be sending to the brain. Okay, that you will call it as a maxillary division. And the third one you will call it as mandibular division, has both sensory and motor functions. Okay, and if you see, it sends the sensory information to the brain from the ears, lower lips as well as from the chin, and it also controls the movement of muscles within the jaw and the ear, so which will be providing the motor functions. Clear? And if you see, this trigeminal nerve which will be originates from a group of nuclei. Okay, see, because this group of nuclei, which is nothing but which is a collection of nerve cells in the midbrain and medulla regions of the brainstem. Clear? In these nuclei which will be forming a separate sensory root as well as the motor root. And if you see, the sensory root of this trigeminal nerve branches into the ophthalmic, maxillary and mandibular divisions, and the motor root of this trigeminal nerve passes below the sensory root and it is only distributed into the mandibular division. Next, the sixth cranial nerve is the abducens nerve. Okay, this abducens nerve, which is also a motor nerve that controls another muscles that associated with eye movements, known as lateral rectus muscle. Okay, this muscle is involved in outward eye movements. Okay, this nerve generally originates from the pons region of the brainstem, and it eventually enters into the eye socket, where it is going to be controlling this lateral rectus muscle. Next, the seventh cranial nerve is the facial nerve. Okay, this is also a mixed nerve like that of the trigeminal nerve, which is having both sensory and the motor functions. Okay, that means moving the muscles used for facial expressions as well as some muscles in the jaw. Okay, and next one is which will be providing a sense of taste for most of the tongue, and also the glands in the head and the neck, okay, such as salivary glands and tear producing glands are supplied with this facial nerves. And next one is communicating sensations from the outer parts of the ear. Next one is this facial nerve. It's a very complex path. Mainly it is going to be originates from the pons of the brainstem, where it has both the motor as well as sensory roots. Okay, these two nerves fuses together to form a facial nerve. See, that means both within and outside the skull, the facial nerve branches further into smaller nerve fibers that stimulates muscles and glands or to provide the sensory information. The eighth cranial nerve is the vestibulocochlear nerve. Okay, this is also a sensory nerve which is having the sensory functions including the hearing and the balance. Okay, mainly it consisting of two parts, that is cochlear part and the vestibular part. If you see regarding this cochlear part, here they are having some specialized cells, okay, that can detect the vibrations from the sound, okay, then which will be generating the nerve impulses that are going to be transmitted to the cochlear nerve. Okay, next coming to this vestibular part, okay, it's this portion which is also having some specialized cells that can track both the linear and the rotational movements of the head. Okay, this after tracking these movements, then which will be transmitting the information to the vestibular nerve, and this will be used to adjust the balance and the equilibrium. So, and if you see these two portions of the vestibulocochlear nerve originates in separate areas of the brain. Okay, the cochlear part starts in the area of your brain, call it as cerebellar peduncle, and the vestibular portion begins in the pons and the medulla, but both the portions combine to form the vestibulocochlear nerve. The ninth cranial nerve is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, if you see this glossopharyngeal nerve, which is having both the motor and the sensory functions, okay, which will be sending the sensory information from the sinus back to the throats, that means parts of the inner ear and back part of the tongue, and which also provides a sense of taste for the back of the tongue, and which can also stimulate the voluntary movement of the muscles in the back of the throat, called as stylopharyngeals. And the glossopharyngeal nerve mainly originates from the brain stem, called it as medulla oblongata. Okay, and it extends into the neck as well as into the throat regions. Okay, next 10th cranial nerve is the vagus nerve. Okay, this is also a mixed nerve. Okay, until now we had seen the two cranial nerves, that is trigeminal nerve and the facial nerve, which is having that is both sensory and the motor functions. Okay, and this vagus nerve, which is also having both sensory and the motor functions. Okay, if you see, which will be communicating the sensory information from the ear canals and the parts of the throat to the brain. And next one is which can also send the sensory information from the organs in the chest and the trunk, such as the heart as well as from the intestine. The next one is which will be allowing the motor control of muscles in the throat, and which can also stimulate the muscles of organs in the chest as well as trunk, including those that moves food through the digestive tract. Okay, that will be useful for the peristaltic movements. Okay, that type of muscles is also stimulated by this vagus nerve, and which will be providing a sense of taste, okay, near the root of the tongue. Okay, out of all the cranial nerves, if you see, this vagus nerve has a longest pathway, that means which will be extends from the head all the way into the abdomen. Okay, mainly it is going to be originates mainly from the medulla. The 11th cranial nerve is the accessory nerve. Okay, this accessory nerve is a motor nerve. Okay, that is going to be controlling the muscles in the neck. Okay, these muscles allow to rotate, flex and extend the neck as well as the shoulders. Okay, it is divided into mainly two parts, that is the spinal part and the cranial part. The spinal part originates in the upper part of the spinal cord, and the cranial part starts in the medulla oblongata. Okay, if you see, these parts meet briefly before the spinal part of the nerves moves to supply the muscles of the neck, while the cranial part follows the vagus nerve. The last and the 12th cranial nerve is the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, this nerve which is responsible for the movement of most of the muscles in the tongue. Okay, see, it starts in the medulla oblongata and it moves down to the jaw, where it is going to be reaches finally the tongue, and which will be responsible for the movement of the muscles that are present in the tongue. That's all, students, regarding the different types of cranial nerves. I hope you understood these cranial nerves, and I hope that you can remember very easily these 12 pairs of the cranial nerves.